This May 10th, 2020, India witnessed a massive industrial disaster at LG Chemicals, LG polymer plant housed at Andhra Pradesh, Vishakapatnam, killing dozens of people instantly and rendering thousands of people disabled. The actual assessment of loss of death, suffering and the disablement of people, how many thousands are disabled and how many people are dead because of this disaster which has taken place at Vishakapatnam in LG Chemicals, LG Polymers, is yet to be assessed. An official statement is yet to be made. And these industrial disasters are not new in India. India also houses the world's largest and biggest industrial disaster. That is the Bhopal Gas Tragedy, which took place in 1984 at Madhya Pradesh. So Bhopal housed an industrial plant, Union Carbide, which due to the negligence of the management, the leakage of methyl gas, in colloquial language it is also called methyl, the leakage of the said poisonous gas instantly killed thousands of people, and made lakhs of people disabled. One of the report which was released after 3-4 weeks of the said disaster, an independent foreign report, revealed that within 2 weeks of the said Bhopal gas tragedy, 8,000 people were killed. So the rest is left to the estimate of the people. It's just an application of common sense. See, the evil effects post such industrial disasters are horrible. It renders lakhs of people, other than the death, it makes lakhs of people disabled in one way or the other. Some people have lung problems, some people have neuro problems, some people have problems with the liver, with the lungs and with the different parts of the stomach, with the digestive systems. That is actually carried forward. Thousands of pregnant women delivered babies who are disabled, and even till today the women who conceive there are unable to deliver healthy babies. So the impact of such massive industrial disasters can be assessed by just the common sense. That is why the Bhopal gas tragedy stands as a tall example, the biggest example. It is one of the biggest eye-opener, not necessarily to India but the entire world, because the pain and suffering everywhere is the same. However, when such industrial disasters take place, massive disasters take place, do we as a nation have proper laws, proper acts that can provide justice, quick justice to the people who are the victims of said industrial disasters? We have the Industries Act 1946 in place. We have the Environment Protection Act 1986, and we have certain rules that is made to prevent industrial disasters, and we have certain rules on import, storage and manufacture of such poisonous chemicals. But all said and done, these laws are incapable, insufficient to protect the massive damage that is causing to the lives. And when lakhs of people suffer due to disablement because of such industrial disasters, because of such poisonous gas and acids that leak, that cause the lakhs of people disabled, they become disabled for life. They have to live with the problems. So these laws are incapable, because if these laws were capable of providing justice to the victims, then the pain and suffering wouldn't have continued such far. Primarily, these laws, they take long time, tens of years, to come to a conclusion, to come to a judgment. And there were some, as far as this Bhopal Gas Tragedy is concerned, there were 2 cases that were filed at United Nations, holding them as the principal employer responsible. Those cases were also dismissed. That is because as a nation, India, we did not represent strongly. We succumbed to the pressure of corporate lobby, multinational lobby, because our political system is dependent on the contributions paid to the political parties which they are using in elections. So these political parties, all irrespective of political affiliations, all parties are dependent on such corporate, national and multinational companies for political funding. So therefore, they succumb to the pressure, be it the ruling government or the opposition. They succumb to the pressure and they fail in providing justice, timely justice, to the victims of such massive disasters. When we assess the pain and sufferings behind such disasters, it is huge, because deaths happen in thousands and lakhs of people continue to suffer post such disasters. It's very painful, and the entire families, lakhs of families, they continue. This is not a one-time impact. The impact continues for years together. 25, 30 years, sometimes 50 years. So therefore, such chemicals, when the accident takes place, such chemicals, such poisonous gas which is leaked, it leaves a permanent impact on the living of the people. It causes such a huge pain and sufferings. The children who are born post the Bhopal Gas Tragedy are born incapable, they were born handicapped, they were born with disabilities. Even today it is said, the neuro problems till today continue to happen. Even the children who are born today in certain areas of where this tragedy has taken place are still born handicapped. So it is a long effect that is caused on the people of India, especially who are the victims of such accidents. So when these acts are not properly applied and they are incapable of giving proper justice, bringing into books the management of such companies because of whose negligence factor such disasters have taken place. We should have the government of India, in fact now with the second such massive disaster that is taking place in Vishakapatnam, the said gas leak from LG polymers, the principal employer is at South Korea. So now at least the government, having the experience in the past, taking a lesson from the Bhopal gas tragedy, from the Union Carbide, from that incident, the government must now swing into action. It must hold the principal employer liable for all the losses that has cost, the loss of life, the loss of disability of the people, and the loss of damage to the environment that it has caused. First thing is the loss of lives, valuable lives. In a democracy, life is very valuable. Life, living with dignity is a constitutional guarantee. So it is valuable. So nothing can be assessed. Paying few lakhs cannot bring back the life. Paying few lakhs cannot compensate the disability factors of the people. The pain and suffering is beyond any measurement of money. Even 1 crore is paid to a person who is disabled is insufficient. We do not have such laws anyway. They are paid few lakhs and the incident is forgotten. So that is the situation in India we are facing. So therefore, through this talk, through this video, I wish to convey to the government of India that taking unforgettable lesson that has made in such a negative impact, that is the Bhopal Gas Tragedy. Taking lesson from that, the Indian government should take necessary actions to sue the principal company, that is housed at Korea, as far as the incident that has taken place on 10th May 2020 at Vishakapatnam, the LG Polymers, the gas leak which killed dozens of people and which has disabled. This incident should not meet the fate of the victims who have faced during Bhopal Gas Tragedy. The entire victims, lakhs of people, are cheated by our own government because no strong representations, international representations were made, and the local administration of justice has taken a long time and has failed to give proper justice to lakhs of people who are suffering even till today. So at least now this disaster that has taken place, this LG Polymers disaster that has taken place, the government of India should actually think in terms of the law that is prevailing, the polluter pays. The polluter pays principle should also be applicable, that the company which is responsible for the deaths, pain, suffering of the people for no fault of theirs should be held liable. The principal employer, in case when the local employer or the local partner, domestic partner is not in a position to pay the sufficient compensation to the victims in such an industrial disaster, the principal employer must be held liable not only for the pain, death and sufferings of the people, but to the loss of environment, to the damage of the environment that is caused. So the government should think in these lines, because it is just not the damage. The environment damage is the biggest damage. The crops don't grow. When the people inhale such air, they live in such affected environment for years together, not in a position to give birth to healthy children. Their lives are affected by several diseases. So therefore, the government should think of making a law to hold the principal employer liable and to confiscate their properties, which is located in India. First of all, the root cause of all these disasters, well, from whichever the angle you see, it shows the needle to the corruption. It is the corrupt attitude. Political parties are dependent on the political fundings from such companies. Therefore, it is the companies, they control the government. Government becomes incapable, they become weak in front of such multinational and even national corporate companies. They listen to the directions of those companies. So this is unbecoming of a democracy, a people's democracy. Second, while providing license, what is the protocol? What is the law that is followed? First of all, why should the government provide a place within the place where thousands and lakhs of people live, within the city limits. So therefore, there is a prima facie problem, violation that is done by the government itself. The giving of a license for a company, for an industry which is working under such hazardous chemicals, acids and gases to function within the living area of the people. So that is wrong. That first of all, that is an invitation to a disaster. When disaster takes place within the limits of the city, that causes, that multiplies, that increases the death toll and the pain and suffering of the people. So therefore, it must be the licensing procedure should be such that such industries must be provided a place which is at a comfortable distance from the main area of people who are living in the cities. So in case of such disasters, for whatsoever reasons, at least the pain and suffering of the common man can be minimized, the death toll can be minimized, the disability factor can be minimized. So therefore, there is a problem in the procedure of providing license just for the convenience sake of the corporate companies. When the government, the concerned department, concerned agency provides license within the city limits, where there is a huge settlement of civilians, and such disasters take place that causes the death of lakhs and pain and suffering of people cannot be measured at all. So therefore, the compliance has to be given a serious thought. Such accidents, first of all, must be prevented by bringing in proper laws, so that the prevention, first is prevention. The second, when such disasters take place, how to minimize the pain, the death, the suffering of the people. So all this needs to be considered. And when the government implement such a law to collect the proper compensation, when the lives of the people who have died, their dependents, the lives are given proper compensation. Unlike few lakhs of compensations were given in Bhopal Gas Tragedy. If the government would have insisted at least 1 crore for the family, then the industries which want to establish themselves in India for profit will look out, will implement, will adhere to the proper standards and ensure that proper preventive steps are taken so as to avoid such industrial disasters. So it is the punishment that is necessary to hold the employer, to hold the management responsible for such disasters. So that law should come into force. The present law, what we have, the Industries Act 1948 and the Environment Protection Act 1986 and the consequent rules and regulations that is made for the storage, for the import and manufacture of such hazardous chemicals in industries. So when these acts, rules are unable to control, first thing is the loss of lives, that is through such massive disasters cannot be digested. Particularly in a democracy like India, where it is a people's democracy, where the people's lives and dignity are be respected. The second thing is, these industries are polluting the environment. Though there is no disagreement that industries are most necessary, needed for the economy, for the development of the economy, for providing employment. So there is no second thought that industries must be encouraged. Only then there will be economic development. There is no second thought on that. Only then there will be increase in the employment. So at the same time, just because there is an economic development and there is an employment, that does not mean that we must forego our environment. So when you assess the loss to the environment, the loss to the environment cannot be compensated at all. The pollution levels are rising. The rivers are being polluted by the industrial pollutions. The pollutants that is discharged to the air, to the water is polluting the entire country. Most of the metro cosmopolitan cities have become unfit for living. The Delhi is not the only city. Every city, every metro, every cosmo and every town that is having an industry which is discharging the pollutants, these dangerous chemicals into the water. That water is being consumed, that is used for the agriculture. When it is let off into the lake, when it is let off into the river, without treating. So the entire nation is being polluted. The land is made, is rendered useless for agriculture. Now such being the thing, so we have serious consequences, negative consequences that is impacting the growth, actual growth of this country. Just because of the corrupt practices we are into, the nation is paying the higher, bigger toll at the life, at the pain and suffering of the people, and which is polluting the entire nation. Therefore, there must be a strong law that must be implemented primarily to avert the industrial disasters. India cannot sustain such 2-3 disasters. Will create a serious problem when 1 lakh people become disabled. Just imagine the impact. And in Bhopal Gas Tragedy, it is 8 lakh people are disabled. That means 8 lakh families are disabled. So 8 lakhs into 5. About it is 45-50 lakh people are disabled. So that is the magnitude. See, the government of India should actually give thought and take decision to make strong laws to hold polluter pays principle to give an effect, to give a clear, quick effect. So whichever the company is responsible for pollution must be responsible to pay for the damages heavily. And whichever the industrial disasters which is causing the death and disablement of the people must be held responsible to pay for the damages. Adequate damages, not that pay few lakhs and escape from such liability. So until unless a strong law is made, and whenever these multinational companies who come from whichever the countries, be it America, be it South Korea, be it China or Germany or whichever the country they may belong to, the agreement must be so strong that in the event of such disasters, the Indian government should be in a position to hold the government of such a country as responsible to pay for the damages, because the environment damage is one of the biggest. So that will, once the environment is damaged, that will make the life miserable in the country, which is already we are feeling it. So therefore, hopefully now with the second disaster that has taken place, second massive disaster that has taken place in Vishakapatnam, this LG chemicals, LG polymers, which parent company is housed in South Korea. So at least now the government should, without making any more delay, should come out with a law that will govern, that will prevent, that will manage a healthy living, which will enforce stricter laws so that we protect our people our environment, and as a India, we will proceed towards the development. Otherwise, it will be other way around. The companies will come here, they will make profit, they will pollute, they will kill the people, and they will go. So that should not happen. So therefore, it is not only the responsibility of the government, it is also the responsibility of the people to think, to make pressure groups, and to persist, to insist on the government, on a democracy. See, as the stakeholders of democracy, as people of India, we should also be held responsible. Therefore, we must become more proactive and understand the in-depth loss that the environment is causing on